Welcome back. We've got the this little Tinyshark on the bench, and if I'm honest, I'm not really happy with how this build's going so far. I actually swapped out these front screws here with some much longer ones, and as you can see, they're like 30 some millimeter or something close to that. And then I started playing around with the top here, this shark fin thing, and it sits up a little high, and then the camera, with the camera being going into this guy, and this is that little over sky cheap camera, it actually fits in there like perfectly. It doesn't want to sit down in this little cradle anymore, so I'm starting to think that maybe this stack isn't exactly set up the way I want it. So what I'm actually thinking I'm going to do instead is, one, I want to shorten these wires a little bit, get them down to about 1 inch long. I think that'll help get this right. I want to get rid of this bottom tray here, and rather than mount this into this little tray down here like I had been planning, I think what I'm going to do is I'm just going to mount it right in here like so, and I'll do that by using some of my daughter's hair bands, because why not, you know? She takes everything from you, might as well take something back. So this will hold this camera, I think, in a much better way than if I'd done it. I mean, that is as secure as it needs to be, honestly. Just that that little brace right around there, just about like that. Hopefully it's in focus and centered. Yeah, so just take a little band, wrap it around like that, and now this camera is mounted at what I think is probably a pretty good angle, and we can actually set it down, and you know, we can give it a little bit of tilt by adjusting the back, or we can adjust this how it's held in there. But I actually like the way this sits right now better than mounting it in this little bottom part. So I'm going to take this little bottom part out. I'm going to take out the spacers that I added before. So that's going to be the first step. And then I don't like these wires. I use 26 gauge wire because that's what I had in my kit. And in looking at it, these little tiny wires, they're not even silicone wires. They're actually plastic or rubber or something. These are the same wire gauge, 30 gauge, and I think that using these is going to be a lot better. So I'm going to cut these. I'm going to cut these off and redo them as this smaller gauge wire and shorten them up at the same time, because I left them super long here and I just don't like it. So that's what we're going to do in this episode, if you will, to bring this back to where I want it to be. Yep, let's get started. Alright, push out these guys, slide them all the way down. And these are, I think these are like 35 millimeter M2s. They're ridiculously long. They're 30 millimeter M2s. And I picked these up just for this sort of purpose off of Amazon, because I had a build before where I needed just a bit more than what they'd given me, and it was just hard to come up with it. And so I really like you know, having a little bit of extra come out the top, and if I need to, I can always file it off, you know, when the time comes, and make it look at least, you know, presentable, if it even comes to that, you know. Sometimes it's not even worth it to do it. But yeah, and these guys that I'm pulling out right now out of this the rear of this stack, these were 20 looks like about 21 or 22 millimeter in length, and these are the rears. So the fronts, the canopy sits down on top of the front part, so I needed just a little bit more than I had for that, and figured that the 30 millimeters were the next up, because I don't have any 25. But if I had 25, they would probably be perfect for this job. So yeah, I'll definitely be trimming down these 30 millimeter once I get everything set up the way I want it. And that's out, and now we'll push it down to the bottom and slide it back up in there. Yeah, I'm hoping to finish this guy tonight. Of course, every time I say that, it ends up going on for 2 more parts. But hey, whatever, right? It's all about the process. It's not about getting there. Getting there is fun, but you know, I just like building stuff. It relaxes me. It's a good time, and I have to assume that somebody watches these videos on YouTube. It's not just me. So, I mean, thousands of people watch Mr. Steel sit around and build his thing, so I'm no Mr. Steel, but I just like building. So if you like listening, I'll keep on talking. Okay, let's get this cleaned up a little bit better. So I replaced the innards of my Hakko with some cheap stuff, and I gotta say, I'm not impressed with it. That little whatever came in the original Hakko container was better than the cheap replacement, and I'm kind of regretting my purchase. Alright, 2 down, and yes, we will be installing a Crossfire in this one. I got turns out I did have my Crossfire, another Crossfire, and we'll get that wired up tonight, and then I'll take it over to the PC and get Betaflight 4.11 on it, probably, unless 4.12 is dropped. I wonder what happened to my blue tack. Don't know. Alright, blue tack, where'd you go? I got you around here somewhere. Hiding out. This place is a mess. Of course, it always is. Every workbench is in the middle of a project. No, don't need this guy anymore. We don't do that anymore. And I don't think I need this anymore. Don't do that anymore. Or that. BDB instructions, no, no, no. Well, my blue tack is up and vanished. Watch, it's on the floor. I've been stepping in it for half an hour. Oh well. I'll find it, or grab some more. Yeah, it's cheap enough. It's not really worth saving. Yep. Okay. So yeah, that's our camera. That's where it plugs in. And I don't know if I showed this on camera or not, but I put in the longer screws, and I just test fitted everything. And I took this connector off of the original camera and put this. The one that was included with this iFlight kit onto the end of the camera, and made sure the pins pinouts were right, and that was the last thing I did before I called it a night last night. And now we're going to go ahead and strip off some of this wire, or some of the shrink wrap. Hopefully I can do this without tearing up the wire too much. That's my goal anyway, because I'd like to use as much as this wire as I kind of can. Yeah, you know, you try something, you're like, you know, the more I look at this, the more I really don't like it. You know, you ever, like your first build, you know, you look at it a bunch and you look at it and you fly it and it flies okay, and you're like, wow, you know, you build the next one and it flies a lot better, and you're like, oh, this flies really good. And then you go back to your old quad and you're like, man, what was I doing? And you know, every once in a while you kind of cut corners, and you're reminded of the way you built your first quad, the corners you cut, and how bad it turned out, and you're kind of like, why did I cut corners again? At all? Ever? It seems silly now. Yep, that's what I've done. I've cut corners. And so now penance of that is having to try and remove this shrink wrap without damaging wires. And I'm not doing too bad here. That one went a lot better than the last one anyway. Okay. Oh, come on. Yeah, this is definitely one of the smaller micros I've done. Actually, it's my first real, if you want to be serious about it, my first real micro build. I've done the swap from, I had purchased an HX 100, the Hum Quad, which was later bought by Beta FPV and released as the Hum Quad, and it's a Beta FPV board and everything else in it. But I bought one of those back in June or July, I forget when they really became available, and it was hard for me to fly. I was a brand new beginner flyer and couldn't fly it at all. In fact, I couldn't even hover test it indoors. It was that bad, because as soon as I'd arm it, it'd want to fly, almost want to fly away. And I figured out that they'd shipped it with the min throttle set at 20%, which was way higher than it needed to be. And so once I'd figured that out, it was actually a little bit more manageable, but under 3S, boy, that thing just wants to fly away. And landing it is a whole different story. It's like woo, 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 woo. You just can't seem to get it to do what you want. So, but in order to get it out of the sky a couple of times, I pretty much just had to crash it. You know, you basically fly it into the ground, and just because God damn it, again, that's twice in as many builds. Burned by solder. I never get burned by solder. And yeah, you fly it into the ground enough times, and sure enough, you need to replace the frame because it breaks off an arm or bends a motor up too far for you to really be able to do much with. Come on, stick to the mat, for you to be able to resurrect it. And so I've swapped over I've swapped over the guts of that twice now. I've had to replace the frame on that thing, and I don't fly it very much. In fact, last time I flew it, it fail-safed about 20 feet from me, and I figured out that the little FR Sky receiver antenna had gone away, disappeared on me, and so I was like, oh well, the hell with it. So it sat on my bench for ever and ever and ever, and finally I was like, okay, I should fix it, and I fixed it. I still haven't flown it. That's how it always goes. Like, oh yeah, I'll take this out next time and fly it. And didn't do that. Okay, so those are 2 of those. We're going to do that much of this one. Oh, I can't believe I did that. Okay, there's that one. And yeah, I almost color coordinated them. I didn't have any yellow wire of this diameter. So, but yeah, orange is close enough. Okay. Close enough for me, anyway. Close enough for the girls I go out with. Alright, we're going to strip that guy. And then strip off a chunk of this guy. And strip off a nice little chunk of this guy. Twist it up. Twist it up. Tin these real quick, as best we can anyway. So that we can, oh come on. Okay, there's that. We'll toss these because it's not that important to keep. And those, and that, and that, and we'll just set these back over here. Okay, looking good. Might help if I actually held the one I was working on. Alright. Take your time, no rush. Okay. Yeah. Like with everything hot, just relax, you will get burned. One of the things my teacher told me in high school when I was learning to weld was relax, you're going to get burned. And once you did that, and once you thought about it and realized what you were really holding on to, which was basically a torch, and it was cooking at 1,000 or so degrees. Really, you just needed to go with the flow when it came time to splatter hot shot all over you, and just relax. It's going to burn for a minute and then it's going to go away. So there's no point in freaking out. Just try not to freak out so bad that you cause more damage or burn yourself worse. Yep, good old Mr. Hershkowitz. Good guy. I think he's still teaching at Arundel Senior High. Well, it used to be Arundel Senior High. Now it's just Arundel High School. I am so old that I remember when there was a junior high. Yeah. Good old Wildcats. Yeah. Yep. Grew up in Maryland. Don't tell anyone I know now. Living in Virginia. Grew up in Maryland. They look at you funny. Like, you's a northerner? I didn't figure you were a communist. But hey, you know, what can you do? Can't change where you grow up. Okay, do this guy. We've got 1, 2, and 3. I'm going to put these back so it's not cluttering up the table. I almost forgot. I meant to mention these earlier. We're going to be running these 36 4-blades on this guy, and I'm hoping that these 11,000 are strong enough to turn these about. They should be. I mean, they're 11. It's not like they're 15K or something like that, so should be enough torque to spin these around and get it up off the ground and give it some good flying characteristics. But yeah, I looked around for some tri-blades and some other stuff, but I just don't have any with me right now that are 2-inch, at least 2-inch tri-blades. But yeah, like a 2028 or a 1928 tri-blade would be probably perfect for this application, or something close to that. Get it just to the point where it flies pretty nice, I think. At least indoor. Isn't too aggressive. Doesn't go flying away on you, or get unruly when you give it the beans. It just does a nice little fly about, and that's what I'm going for. Nice little kind of indoor, not too crazy, not too wild indoor flyer to have fun with. Alright, get rid of these guys, get rid of these guys, and this guy, and this guy, and this ugly guy. Alright, and I actually got my my heat gun back, but for this little application I'm not going to fire it up. It also has a tendency to set off the smoke alarm if you're not careful. So, I'll just slip this on, slip this one on. Yeah, get on there. Slip this one on. Okay. And then we'll I reckon that's got it. Next, like I said, lighter and valuable. Keep one in your toolbox. Very handy. And so far, looking pretty good on this build, I think. I don't know how long I've been recording. 25 minutes, Jesus. To get us back where we were. But you know what? When you're not happy with a build, it slows you down even more. It's my philosophy anyway. Okay. Here's that one and that one. That was hot. Okay, and let's get these about the right length, and then we'll do them up in place. Alright, so it's red, black, and yellow in that order. And we're going to run them along the arm, right in there, and then, so, right there. That's where we want that guy cut. Snip that off. Done. Good. One down. Red, then black, then yellow. In that order. Right along the arm. Bring her up. Right about there. Put it right there. And then we're just going to kink it over. Right about like that. Iron, turn it so the point goes in to the material, and push. Boom. 2 down. Okay. Put that back. Now this guy is going to be difficult, I bet. Okay. Even less. Okay. Hopefully you can see what I'm doing here. Okay. So on this one, this guy fanned out just a little bit. I'm just going to take it, kind of twist it back into place, and then we're just going to work it right up in there. There it is. I won't say I'm pleased with that, but I am not disappointed with that. How's that? There it is. That's what it looks like. So, and as far as I can tell, none of those pads are touching. It's not touching the MOSFETs or anything else. Should be alright for this little God, this drone is tiny. I gotta tell you, this is one of the smaller ones. I mean, I know that there's smaller ones out there, but Jesus, it's itty bitty. Itty bitty, teeny tiny. Okay. Go up and push this one right up in there. Got that one. Along through there, up like that. So take it and snip it right there. It's a little tiny bit too long, so take it. Perfect. Okay. Give it the kink. So we can hold it, and then take this guy, hold it right up against the notch for the pad. Okay. Get a good grip on it. Right up against the notch for the pad. Take the iron, hold it right up against that little notch. Okay, we might need ever so slightly more solder for that one. It just didn't have enough. There it is. Alright. And then this guy comes along like so. Put that right there. Trim that one off. Do the exact same thing. There we go. Good. Good, good, good. I am surprisingly much happier with that than I was with... Alright, no I'm not. I'm not happy with that. Okay. Alright. I don't know if you saw that or not, but it fanned out when I touched it. Better. I like it. Yep, I already like that better. Yep. Yep, yep, yep. Good. Doing good. Okay, now I have a rubber band in here, which I think will work as the holder for our battery. And now to see if I can do this, because I was pretty confident that I could. All right, that looks pretty good. I mean, kind of good, anyway. Mostly good. Sort of good. Acceptable. So I'll put a little pad of whatchamacallit down in there. But, as you can see, once these are in, a little pad of grip on the bottom there, hold this guy in place, and that will be a flyer right there. Yep. Good. Well, I proved myself that I could put that on, which is good enough for me. And I'll do something like this to keep it from working itself loose, losing tension. Okay. Next up, the Crossfire. Let's do this guy next. What we're going to do is just grab this guy, work it out of the top. We're going to take about an inch off. About like that. Yep. And give these guys a little quick twist so they don't fray. Hit them with a little dab of that. Looks pretty good. Okay. Hit this guy here. So it looks like signal, ground, and voltage, or V. And hopefully you can see what I'm doing here. If not, I'm just doing one of these at a time. There's the G. Now the ground, or I'm sorry, that was the signal wire I just did. We want the ground. And the ground goes back on. Yeah, it's funny. I was on the Discord today, Joshua Bardwell's Discord, and helped the guy figure out that he had bridged a TX3 and a video pin because he had lines in his video. And I was like, well, lines in the video, that's data. So yeah, his smart audio port was right next to the pin. And we just got, okay. I don't like that. I do not like that at all. Yeah. Yeah, it just gotten way, and I guessed it right from the go. It's like, well, lines are data. You see lines on your screen, you need to be looking at something else. It's not your VTX that's the problem. Sure enough, I figured out what it was. Shit. Yeah, I've bridged here. I've done exactly the same thing and bridged a pad to a component, which is what you never want to do. Okay, I've gotten most of that off, I think. Let me just take this guy, clean him up a little tiny bit. Yeah, tiny. Alright, I need a little bit better of a component setup here. I'm going to borrow this guy and see if it'll work. Might be a little easier to do this with a proper vise. Here's that. Now, should be a little easier for you guys to see too. And I don't know if you can see, but the ground here is just off. Yep. And then what I'll do is I'll straighten this out a little bit. Yep. And then we'll go right back on that pad with a nice cleanish iron. Okay. And now to do this guy. Okay. And I think that's got it. But before I call it done, I am going to bust out my trusty magnifying glass and verify. Come on. I don't know if you can even see down through there. I have a second one that I'm willing to open to compare against. And that guy is still bridged. I think. Why is this cable shorter? That's what I get for buying cheap shit. You know, cheap shit, you get what you pay for. Yeah, what I'm going to do now, I think, is... actually, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to just check the continuity of both of them. Because why not? Why not? Why trust my eyes? I'm blind as it is, you know. Not really. I don't want to offend any blind people out there. Good God, everything is so tiny. You know, surface mount crap is just the worst. Okay. So on this guy, those are bridged, and on this guy, we've got much the same, I suspect. Good. Alright, I'm going to risk that and say we have a fundamentally working device with a shortened cable right there. And we'll put this one back in a little baggie. Come on. For the next build. And yeah, I don't actually know if this camera is going to work or not on this guy. It said it was for SciSky, like an old F3 style thing. And I haven't seen F3 stuff for forever. I mean, even the Tiny Fish F3 that was popular seems to have disappeared off the shelves. I don't know that anyone's building them or buying them anymore. And that's kind of the predecessor to this type of stack. Was the original, at least from what I can understand, was something called pepperfish, and or fish pepper or something like that. Anyway, the guy did open source hardware with an F3, and nobody does the F3 anymore. Of course, Betaflight doesn't support F3 anymore, so you got to run 356 or earlier. And we've got this guy going back in, and then my blue tack. Once again, I have managed to lose my blue tack. What did I do? Pick it up and throw it away? Alright. Getting close here. 50 minutes. Yay. Said I was going to finish tonight. That never happens. That never happens. Yep. So, here it is. Camera, all done. This guy ready to go plug in right there. Boom. This guy goes down on top with the VTX that goes on top of that. Boom, like so. We've got plenty of space for everything. Everything looks good. time to get the Crossfire wired up, and hopefully I can fit the Crossfire on here somewhere. Take out the blade. Alright, Crossfire Nano. Best receiver money can buy, if you ask me. I've said it before. And we're going to be running this, actually, you know what, we may not run this antenna. I was watching Oscar Lang. He actually did a video on shortening this guy, because I don't know if you can tell or not, but it's actually bigger than this quad. So what I may do, like there's no real good way of positioning this that won't just get chewed up, or the ground plane on the bottom against the carbon again, you know. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a Free Sky one. I'm going to save this guy, do a Free Sky one, and I'm going to trim it down and do 1/16 wavelength, because he went like half a kilometer with a 1/16 wavelength, which needed to be like 16 or 18 millimeters or something. I'll look it up, but I'll figure it out when we get there, and I'll take you through it. But basically, it's just the little Free Sky based cable, and that ought to work a little bit better for our needs, and get us to a point where we can go flying without chewing up our antennas. And I'll bring it out through the top here, I guess, next to the VTX antenna, which is just floating around here somewhere, this little guy. So I'll bring it out right next to this guy and run it out, and I'll keep it out of the props, hopefully. Or I'll run it along the bottom of an arm or something. I haven't thought about it yet. And fun fact on this board, we have ground on these micro-sized pads. Hopefully I have this in shot well enough to, in focus down well enough to see. I haven't changed the focus since the last time I filmed, so hopefully it's still good. We have a ground over here, then we have a 5 volt, then we have in R2, which is inverted R2, and then an R2 and a T2, and then up above this ground pad is actually inverted T2. So we don't need the inverted pads. We're going with the regular standard pads, but Jesus Christ, they are tiny. So be prepared for some more swearing. And we're gonna get this guy, which so I like to orient myself based off of the bind pin. So you find the bind pin, that's ground, then 5 volt, then channel 1 and channel 2, and that's been actually consistent, even though this little square was down here on some of the early boards. So just keep that in mind if you buy an old quad or get something and pull it out again. Like, oh yeah, I know all about Crossfire, and then realize, oh shit, I thought I had it wired up. So always orient yourself based on the bind pin. That's the safest bet. Or the bind button, I should say. Bind pin, bind button. And pull these guys and set our little plastic aside and use one I already have. And there's that. So we need red, we need a black, we need a yellow, and I like to use white for the one that doesn't matter, which is the TX. So, because telemetry is, you know, on a micro, come on. We're not doing anything with telemetry. I'm going to wire it up nonetheless, but... And we're going to tin the pads first. So, just set the iron down on top of your solder, and boop. Well, boop, he says, like it's going to do something. boop, and boop. And then we'll do ground. And I'm going to put it right down through the hole. So here's one. And then we'll do 5 volt. And it's already 10'd from the factory, on this end anyway. Right down through the hole. And then we'll do the yellow one, because that's the channel 1. And I discovered today, actually, that I actually have a 1S build coming, and I was planning on using Crossfire for that. However, it only supports S-Bus. It's called the Tiny Fish F2, and you can actually configure, I didn't know this, but you can configure the Crossfire to do S-Bus. Well, to do S-Bus or non-inverted S-Bus. So that's the lucky one, is that you can have it do either one. And S-Bus, the default S-Bus, is inverted, and luckily it will do that. And if you happen to have non-inverted pads that need to do S-Bus, you can still do it. So pretty smart, Crossfire. There's a reason why I like you. And use you in every build. Yep. Every single build. It's not worth my time to do anything else. Set you aside. And okay. So we've got a 5 volt pad and a ground, and they're side by side, and we do not want to bridge them, and they are surface mount, so they're on top. And we've got RX and TX. Ooh. That was it. And I don't know if you can see it or not, but that is just about as small as you want to be soldering. Okay, so we've got to make a decision here. Let's go ahead and find us an antenna. What do I do with those antennas? Did I stick them over here? Nope, here they are. They were right on top. I'm an idiot. Okay. Let's make sure that these two are well. I may have purchased the wrong thing way back when, because this is the wrong connector, and you can clearly see that there now that I've moved it into shot, that that's the wrong connector. This guy is like 1 millimeter and this is like 1.5 millimeters or something close to that, or 2 millimeters. Yeah. Yep, little itty bitty connectors. I do not understand you or your kind. So we're just gonna wing it a little bit, see if we can find another antenna in here real fast. TBS Crossfire micro receiver. No. And no. So the answer to your question is no. Well, guess we're using the Crossfire after all. Big old box of antennas. Not one to help us. So we are back to square one with this guy. Anyway, let's figure out where we're going to stick it, because that's the next step. is deciding if we can fit it underneath the rear here. And I already don't like this. I don't like how this feels back here. It's just too crowded back here, and I'm pushing down. Yeah, no, that's not going to work. So we're going to do the VTX on top, and then we'll do the Crossfire like that, I think, with a zip tie going. Yeah. So what it looks like here is I'll take this and I'll lay it like this. We've got the bind pin on. Well, shit. Let's do it like this. This is the smarter way. So we'll lay it like this, and then we'll take once it's all shrink wrapped up, we'll take a zip tie and we'll run that guy right under here, out the front and over top to hold it down on this board. And that ought to get us right what we want without being in the way. And I think that that's all the wire we can really have for this. Bye-bye. I hope you're enough. And let's hope it is enough. Let's take this, wrap it around like that so we don't lose it. We'll take this guy. We're going to run this. Yeah, let's run this like this. Oh, come on. Don't fight me. Go together. I know you want to. There we go. And slip this guy over like so. Okay. I actually need to trim this up because it's too long. That's better. Hopefully it doesn't shrink too bad in that direction. Yeah. Yep. Lighter. Where'd you go? Come on. It's not going to work. When in doubt, use Kapton tape. Yep, very useful stuff, this. And like I said, it's super thin, super light, electrically isolated. It's almost like, what do they call it, ladies wrap? That's sexist, but the plastic wrap in kitchen used for covering up leftovers and stuff. Yeah, saran wrap, that's the word. And around, like so, back, and then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to slice this guy like that, run the wires like about that, take and cut this side the same way, and that ought to do it, just like so. Yep. So now it'll sit. Boom. Next one. Here we go. Let's get this. Tinned. Okay. Hopefully finish up in the next couple minutes here. That's my goal anyway. We'll check it with the so we want this guy to wrap around like so. We're just gonna wire it up in not this order but this order. Oh man, this tip is actually bigger than I'd really like it to be. Yep, bridged it. Like I said, this is the fiddliest I gotta turn it down. It's too hot. It's pushing too much heat. Okay. Good God, I can't see it. I gotta bust out the trusty glass here. Oh, look what I found! My fun tack. Okay, people, it's getting serious here. There is far too much solder. Okay. Three, two, one, go. Okay. That guy looks pretty good, I think. Okay. go. 3, 2, 1, go. Can't tell. Alright, RX. 3, 2. Okay. 3, 2, 1, go. Okay. TX. 3, 2, 1, go. Okay. Time to check these guys, because they are super close. Like, danger close. Okay. Alright. You are, yep, working. We will check first. Hopefully you can kind of see down through here. If not, well, sorry, but this thing is impossible for me to see. Okay. Positive and negative are not touching. That's a big boost right there. Negative, or I'm sorry, positive and the inverted RX are touching. Okay. RX, R2 and R2 are not conductive. Good. This guy and this guy are not touching. Okay. So, we've got one to fix. Let's see if we can do it without destroying it. Okay. We just want to get the positive to get, and all I'm doing is wiping off the solder from the tip. I just want to get this guy like so. Let's check it again. Okay. Negative. Negative and positive are not touching. Positive and R2 are still. Oh, damn. Okay. Try it again. Let's take the positive wire off completely. Let's see if we can't clean these pads. Okay, looks a bit better. Let's check the empty pads as they sit. Make sure that they're not conducting. Alright, so the negative and the positive are not touching. The positive and the RX are not touching. Good. So now let's put the RX, or the positive back on there. And we should be in the green. Okay, I'm gonna wipe the solder off. Oh, come on. Okay. God, I hope that's on there. It's so small. Come on. No whammy, no whammy. We'll double check all of them. We are electrically isolated from each one. which is exactly what we want. Yay! We did it! We have succeeded where others have never failed. Alright, you know what that means. This build is just about done. Okay, come on, stand up. There. Okay. We've got VTX in, we've got we've got the ESC in, the flight controller, and now the VTX goes right on top. And on top of that guy, we shall place, let's get it lined up, snug down ever so slightly. Okay, that looks pretty good. Now we'll take this guy and we'll just wrap him around like so. And that is that. I reckon. We'll just put a little bit of sticky and then a doodad around it, call it right like that, and then this I'll run back up and out, I guess. Let's get this little guy. That went under my fingernail, people. Don't you hate when that happens? Ugh. Okay. Good. Good, good, good. The canopy is here. Let's get these rear nuts on. Do I have metal ones? Or are these all? No, they're plastic. It's fine. It's plastic. This guy, run this down a little bit until it snugs up. We don't want it like He-Man tight. We just want this stack to be snug. Good. And then this guy, what I think I'll do is I'll run some plastic ones down from the top, and then we'll set it down on top of that. We'll set the canopy down on top, and then we'll go get the arms taped up real fast. That ought to do it for this guy. Aha! I was squeezing a little bit too much, and I forgot that I needed to still squeeze a doodad through there. Do I have any more flexible? If anybody knows where to find good, flexible zip ties that are good, actually good, let me know. How are we looking? 1 hour and 21 minutes. Of course it is. I've been talking and chit-chatting and shooting the bull. And there it is. There it is, people. Okay. Now that looks pretty darn good to me. Okay. Yep. There's that one. And then this guy, we're going to put a rear. Alright. So I'm going to wrap this around like so. Feed it out through this hole. Right along with this. About through the same. Really? In case you can't see what I'm doing here, I attached this guy. Yep. And then realized, oh, no, you need to come down from the top. Okie dokie. There's that. We're going to set this guy about like so. Yep. And then we need to run. Oh, come on up off there. Run this guy about through the same hole. Pull out this. Okay. Looking good, sort of. Okay. So just check everything's going to plan. Yes, yes. Let's see if I can. Look at that. That is a camera mounted. I think we're done. Yeah, I think we're done. Okay, I need to charge a battery. I actually don't even have a 2S ready to go. I need to do up this guy a little bit. I don't know what I'm going to do with this ground plane. Maybe I'll just stick it up under here somewhere, call it a day. And then put a sheath down. You know what I got? I got one of these. Little guys right here. Come on. Yeah, like that won't get in the props. Just keep running it somewhere. Hold it down to that arm. What do you think? Think that'll work? Probably not, but what the hell, right? Can't be all bad. Yeah, let me tape these arms down real quick. Normally you think, oh yeah, that's the end. Nope, not with this stuff. Goofy. Just goofy. Okay, come on. Scissors. Might be time to buy some new scissors. Okay, let's go ahead. Just hold you in place like so. I like this stuff because it's so light. I mean, it's kind of ridiculous how thin it is, but that ought to keep that from moving about too much. I mean, I've seen worse. What do you guys think? Think that'll do? Don't answer that. Alright, next one, we'll do this one. And then the last two. And then I will stop recording for the night, and we will call it here and get right. Can't break this stuff. That's not too bad. Ooh. Okay, we'll check our all up weight here in just 1 second, and that'll be the end of this video, I think, because I know that's something I've been meaning to test on previous builds, and honestly I've just forgotten. You know, I record pretty much everything I do on a build, just so that little tips and tricks and things that some people don't think are important. It's like watching mechanic work, you know? You can sit there and you can do a job, and you can do a serviceable job of it, right? I mean, you can get it done. But you watch a mechanic do it, like a real professional, and you see little movements, little twists, little, oh, he used pliers rather than whatever. And well, shit. Oh, my camera just died. It just stopped recording. God damn it. Anyway, as I was saying, we're done anyway. As I was saying, you watch a mechanic do something right, you kind of pick up on, oh, if I just, you know, gave it that extra twist or did something different with my hands, suddenly I would have this extra ability, you know, it would be a little bit easier, you know, like taking off hose clamps, like simple stuff that sounds simple on the surface, but it's the same sort of thing with this hobby. It's nice to see someone do something all the way through.